strike downfield, Eric Ward for the initial touchdown. But as the game moved on, Colin Klein, with a part of his game that most people challenge, and that's his arm throwing the football, was proficient in the first half in doing so. 9 of 13 throwing 103 yards for Klein with only 7 rushing touchdowns. But Daggy, of course, throwing the football effectively all half long.
All right, let's go downstairs to Julie Alexandria. And we're having some audio challenges. We will join Julie after the kickoff. Kansas State will receive to start the second half. Colin Klein encouraging his teammates. Kansas State has scored 198 second half points this year, an average of nearly 25 a game. Here we go, Lockett and Thompson back deep. And this one will not be returned. So Colin Klein and Kansas State starting at their own 25.
Give me a minute, please. I'm not hearing anything.
So here comes Klein in the first half. Colin Klein, 9 of 13, 103 yards. No touchdowns. He was sacked once and a long of 47 yards.
Let's see if Texas Tech continues to try and put 7, 8, 9 in the box to take away the run game, and see if they'll continue to challenge Kansas State to throw the ball on the early downs.
Klein steps back, dumps it off, and he has Hubert. Terrific job. Klein with hands in his face. DJ Johnson. Okwavin with the tackle.
And he made a double adjustment there because they were faking the run, and then I think he wanted to throw the ball deep downfield and had to come off of that. And then, as you noted, the pressure was in his face and almost a mini jump pass in order to get the ball to Hubert for the first down.
A 15-yard pickup. First down and 10 at the 40. Last 3 drives heading into halftime. Kansas State a field goal, a touchdown, and a field goal. Klein running. Colin Klein to the 42. Great play. Deception. And Klein pulls it down. Cody Davis with the tackle after a 17-yard gain.
Okay, watch. It's the mesh point here with Klein and the running back, and then Klein is going to come here. Fakes it. Look at the gap open. Now he's got the vision to just take it up there and get everything he can out of the run.
First down and 10 at the 43, opening drive in the second half for K-State. Here's the handoff to Lockett around the corner. And Lockett picks up the first down. DJ Johnson defensively for Texas Tech.
We've got a World Series game tonight, game 3. Tigers, right?
Yep.
San Francisco Giants. Pitchers, as they go along in the game, have to do what? Make adjustments, don't they?
Yes.
All right? This is what we're seeing Kansas State do as this game goes along, offensively, making adjustments against the Texas Tech defense. First time this game, we've seen the jet sweep or the fly sweep from Kansas State. That one for nice yardage.
Remember, Coach Bill Snyder, 73 years young, calls the plays. Here's Hubert. And Hubert inside the 30. Jackson Richards stops him. My Tigers are definitely going to have to make some adjustments. I can't understand why they would send Prince Fielder home. Runners on second and third, no out.
If
the biggest guy on the team.
You know, as I laughed when I thought about that, far be it for me to criticize, but I cannot believe, unless that's Ron LaFleur running, I don't know why you're sending him. You have second and third, no one out. And a team that's been struggling to score runs. Hey, they're going to try and get back into it tonight.
Terrible. Second down and 7 to the 29. Underneath. Harper. He'll get to the 21. An 8-yard gain.
As well as Colin Klein's been throwing the ball this season, how about his wide receivers and what they do in terms of bodying off defenders and presenting nice targets for Colin Klein? Chris Harper is 6'1", 234 listed. Used his big frame to catch the football. He spent this whole offseason training every day wearing a Cotton Bowl t-shirt for motivation because of their loss to Arkansas in that game last year.
First down and 10 of the 21. Klein throwing on the run to Lockett. And Lockett getting back to the line of scrimmage. Nicely done by Bruce Jones.
If Jones doesn't make that play, it's got a chance to get to the end zone. That was a block that Harper was supposed to get.
And Charles, Coach Snyder, is masterful when it comes to making adjustments at halftime.
This guy is making adjustments series to series, almost down to down, it appears, taking it all in and calculating, coming up with something that works.
Second and 10 of the 21. Klein. All day to throw. Touchdown. Tremaine Thompson. And we've seen Seth Dagey go through his progressions. A wonderful job of looking his guys off on this play by Colin Klein.
You saw what I saw because look at his head. Stop it there. All right? Look where he's looking here. But the play ends up coming back here. Watch him reset. Comes back off of that look, as you noted, partner. Resets his feet and delivers a strike downfield. How about that pass protection by his offensive line, which gave him the time to go through those progressions.
Extra point up and good. Colin Klein. A wonderful opening drive to start the second half. And he finds Tremaine Thompson. 21-yard touchdown pass. 20 to 10. Wildcat. 20 to 10. 11:31 to go in the third quarter. Kansas State scoring on their opening drive to start the second half. Remember, they were down 7-0 when Texas Tech came out on their opening drive and putting 7 points on the board.
Yeah, 7-0, then 10-7 Texas Tech. And since that time, it's been all Kansas State. You posed the question, how will the pressure affect this Kansas State team? So far, they managed to not let it affect them greatly.
Sadale Foster on the return. Foster crossing the 25, gets up to the 28. And folks, check out Colin Klein's Magic Johnson impersonation, throwing a no-look pass.
Okay, now watch him in the pocket. He takes a snap. He gets excellent protection from his offensive line, but look where he's looking, okay? What he's done now, he's taken Cody Davis, the safety, and pulled him from the middle, which will open up this space for him to come back to on his progression. And as he comes back to it, wham, Tremaine Thompson wide open as he takes the safety out of the middle of the field and opens up the hole to deliver the football for a touchdown.
First down and 10 of the 29. Seth Dagey now. He finds Ward. He lost it. Loose. Picked up by K-State. Our first turnover of the game. And a flag on the play. Randall Evans.
And he has been playing some kind of football this season, number 15, Randall Evans. From the nickelback position, really affecting play by creating big plays with his aggressiveness and nose for the football.
Last week,
after the interception, personal foul, face mask, number 34, Texas Tech. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Last week versus West Virginia, he had a team-high 9 tackles and tipped a pass to Arthur Brown for an interception.
He's tipped 3 balls this year. Look at him create the fumble by stripping number 18, Eric Ward, and then coming back and picking the football up. Watch him come inside, knocks it free, and then as the ball bounces through Zimmerman, he goes and picks it up and comes back the other way, and a face mask penalty against Texas Tech. There's the penalty against Williams. And now, let's see if they just go for the big shot right out of the gate.
Ruling on the field was catch fumble. Play is under further review.
Ah, very interesting.
So
did he have control?
That's what they have to be reviewing right now to see if the receiver caught it and was able to get his feet down and make the football move that shows he had possession. Catches the ball, turns upfield.
That's a catch.
No question. Oh, this shouldn't take long at all. I mean, he's already moving upfield with the football. The only thing we couldn't see there is he juggling it at all. See, he's catching it and trying to shift it, I think, to an arm for running the football.
All right, let's bring in Mike Pereira. Mike, your thoughts?
Well, I will tell you this, in real time on the field, I'd love it to be incomplete because he's really losing the ball just as he tries to shift it in to, to his other hand. You know, I think when you look at that, say, give me incomplete on the field. Do you have enough now to overturn it on the field since the ruling was catch on fumble? But as we all look at it in here, you know, we think it's really an incomplete pass.
See, Mike, I thought he caught it from that view on the back, and then on the flip side, I see it moving. You know, when you show the front side.
Yeah, that's the one. You got to see the front side to me, Charles, and that's the one it's coming out with before any contact by the defender. Watch as he turns here, and then the ball starts to come loose. But again, you know, this is the whole situation of remember the ruling on the field that they did rule it a catch fumble. But in my mind, I like replay to be the same. You would like it to be called in real time, which to me, I just don't think he possessed it long enough.
Here we go, Mike. Oh, no, we still have time. And now we will get the official ruling.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, K-State.
I think Mike framed it up that the ruling on the field initially was a catch. And so when you have that, when he appears he catches the football and tries to get upfield, not enough to overturn it. If they had ruled incomplete on the field, it probably would have been upheld also.
So Ward fumbling. Kansas State takes over at the Texas Tech 20. First down and 10. Colin Klein in the shotgun. Klein sprints out. Turns a corner. Oh, he takes a hard hit at the 16. But it's a 4-yard gain as Guavin got him. Turnovers, a big story for this Kansas State football team this year.
In last year's game, Texas Tech had it going their way before Kansas State got them in the second half. The story last year was 4 turnovers by Texas Tech to 0 by Kansas State. That still holds true today.
Seth Dagey throwing 3 interceptions last year. 2nd and 6 at the 16. Touchdown Wildcats. And somewhere there's a Nebraska coach that's tipping his hat to the kind of offense they're running in the second half.
Talk about Dr. Tom Osborne, who's retired, just announced his retirement as athletic director and a longtime coach. That sure looked like the old Big 8 football, option football. Going back to the roots, Optimus Klein waltzes in for another touchdown.
Kansas State, extra point up and good. Taking a 27-10 lead. Colin Klein, rumbling. Heisman hopeful. Randall Evans' fumble recovery, which was the 2nd turnover of the day, as I correct myself, led to Colin Klein and this touchdown.
Take a look here, because watch Leon Mackey right there. He's fooled, okay, but he's not the first or the last. Now watch this. All the blocks here are taken care of. So Cody Davis should be in the hole to watch to take on Colin Klein, but his eyes were in the wrong place. He went with John Hubert. Wide open, Colin Klein goes in for a touchdown. They always talk about your eyes having to be in the right place to follow a play, to read your keys. The eyes were wrong for Texas Tech.
27-10 now. Kansas State trying to pull away with this. As Foster takes a knee. Now let's go downstairs to Julie Alexander.
Hey guys, this Kansas State team certainly listening and taking to heart everything their coach said. When I spoke to Coach Snyder about what adjustments he's going to have to make here in the second half, he said we're going to have to move the football first and foremost and take advantage of turnover opportunities, which as you can see, that was pretty evident in those opening drives. And when I talked to Coach Tuberville, he said we're going to have to keep attacking on offense, keep the ball in the air. We're going to have to adjust, but other than that, he says it's a pretty even game. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Julie, and they're starting to rock and roll here in Manhattan with the Cats up 27-10. Seth Doege, they can score points in bunches. Doege steps up in the pocket, wants to run, and has room. Doege sprinting out of bounds at the 32. And what kind of adjustment? Seems like with that option play, that's what's been the difference for Bill Snyder and the major adjustment that he's made from the late in the second quarter to early here in the third.
I think it wasn't much of an adjustment in terms of what they do normally offensively. They got things to loosen up.
Number 42 defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
They got things to loosen up because Colin Klein was able to throw the ball in the early downs. You know, you want to load the box, fine, we'll throw it outside. Once you start to loosen that up a little bit, now you get a little uncertain on defense, and you don't read your keys. Colin Klein's back into the game with his legs.
So, offside, first down at 5. Doege as he hands it off to Foster. Foster is running room, and he'll get close to the first down. Arthur Brown making the tackle. I'll tell you what, I remember growing up in Michigan, one of my heroes was a player for the University of Michigan named Ron Simpkins. I have a feeling if I grew up here in Manhattan, Arthur Brown Jr. would be my hero.
And Ron Simpkins wore number 4T for Michigan. Arthur Brown, number 4, Kansas State. A little bit of a denominator for him.
I remember he gave me a quarter when I was about 7. It looked like a penny. Second down and 1 to the 34, and they'll run it. Grant. And Grant picks up major yardage as he gets to the 40. Let's go to Los Angeles for a game break.
Gus, 3 for each team. Gus and Charles.
We're so happy to have Bakari Rambo back. Missed the first 4 games of the season due to suspension.
Doege to Suzalik as he finds a soft spot. Beautiful catch. And a very nice job of handling the snap.
Sometimes you have to be a shortstop back there playing quarterback. Fields the low one, keeps his poise, and fires downfield.
Doege to the sideline. Caught by Darren Moore.
Darren Moore on the reception.
Now Doege and this Texas Tech offense moving the ball quickly up and down the field.
Doesn't this drive look like the first 2 drives of the game for Texas Tech?
Yes.
The way they're moving the ball again, get their pace back. Remember, they're missing one of their key receivers today, and Jace Amaro, their big-time tight end, missing his 2nd straight game with injured ribs.
Second down and 1 at the 38. Here's a reverse. Suzalik. And Suzalik looks like he has enough for the first down.
I think he wanted to throw that one. I think that was a reverse pass, and Suzalik didn't have it downfield, tucked it and ran. The coverage on the back end of Kansas State, they were not fooled by the motion and the action where Flo was going in another direction. Stayed deep and took away that pass opportunity.
First down at 10 at the 36. Kenny Williams in the backfield with Doege. And Doege gives it to Williams. He's bottled up and taken down. We'll lose yardage on the play.
Notice a lot of people crowding the line of scrimmage for Kansas State, and I think your first impulse is, well, they blitzed and they made a play. That play was really made just by the defense in front, holding their position, standing up, people like Terry McDaniel, number 68, the right tackle, and not giving ground at the line of scrimmage.
Second down and 11 at the 37. Here's Doege. Darren Moore, first down. Texas Tech as Doege put that one right between the 1 and the 4. Childs with the tackle.
Coordination back to what we saw early for Texas Tech. In sync, offensive line, quarterback, receivers.
Sideline, Moore juggled it, and incomplete.
There's Neil Brown, the offensive coordinator for Texas Tech. Ran the offense at Troy, a very young offensive coordinator, brilliant offensive mind. Likes to play fast and faster on offense.
2nd down and 10 at the 22. Tech cannot afford to get too far behind. Daggy underneath, caught, Ward with running room, and he'll spin down at the 10-yard line.
How about the body control of Eric Ward? Having to reach and catch the ball and still get up into the gap and pick up a 1st down. You can see why originally Oklahoma was all over him. He committed to them before deciding to cast his lot in Lubbock.
1st down and goal at the 10. Here's Foster. Foster gets to about the 6.5. Make it the 7.
He just made a point, Gus, about they can't afford to get too far behind. In other words, field goal would be a huge disappointment for Texas Tech here.
Foster smelling the end zone, and he has the touchdown. It didn't take Texas Tech long to respond. And the big guys up front really leaning on Kansas State.
I thought they had a good series, their offensive line. I thought the way that they played, and watch the big guys, everyone matching up with someone, and then downfield, the wide receivers. Tyson Williams, 3. And then, of course, Darren Moore, 14, all with nice blocks.
6:18 to go in the 3rd quarter. 27-17. Seth Daggy orchestrating. Dale Foster punching it in. Introducing the UPS Team Performance Index, a new statistical measure that looks at the efficiency of a team's offense, defense, special teams, and miscues to define their competitive advantage. Check out the UPS Team Performance Index throughout the season for a look at the logistics behind a winning team.
And how about Ohio at number 5? No, folks, that's not a typo. They didn't leave the state off. That is Ohio. The Ohio Bobcats undefeated and leading the MAC. Tough one today with Miami of Ohio, though.
Fife sending it away. And this one picked up at the 10-yard line by Thompson. And Thompson crosses the 20 and will push forward and get to the 25. Now let's take a look at today's Dodge Ram game summary.
You see we're since down 10-3, Kansas State has kicked it into overdrive, outscoring Texas Tech 24-7. Colin Klein shows his bona fides yet again with a big 3rd quarter. And Eric Ward, 9 catches, 157 yards, a career high for Texas Tech.
So Art Kaufman, the defensive coordinator for Texas Tech, has got a decision to make.
I think he's got to pick his poison. This is Art right here. And what I mean by that is they've been clouding the box, and in the 1st half, they only gave up 40 yards rushing on 15 carries. Colin Klein only had 7 yards. But he threw the ball effectively. And frankly, I would put my corners up there, tell them they've got to challenge receivers, and they can continue to be a good thrower.
Klein to the sideline. Chris Harper wide open. And Harper gets out of bounds at midfield.
And I think Art Kaufman would say to me, we just did that. And Chris Harper just beat me. My corner was not able to stay with Harper, who ran a very good route, came back to the football. Everything was right. Make Klein throw the ball. He throws it accurately, but Klein, the route, was the key to that play. He won off the line of scrimmage on the perimeter.
A 22-yard gain, 1st down and 10 at the 48. Angelo Keys in the backfield. In the middle. Played that ball thrown behind Jermaine Thompson. And I guess the big difference is that this young man here, Colin Klein, his ability to really throw the football. He's improved so much. He went to the Manning Academy during the offseason. You were there as one of the counselors.
Yeah, got to see him throw. He got to work every day with so many of the top college quarterbacks. You know, Matt Barkley was there. Geno Smith was there. And he worked on his own game. Did a terrific job. Obviously, in the offseason, becoming a much more proficient and accurate thrower.
2nd down and 10. Klein wants to keep it. He's got a blocker in front of it. Next line gets out of bounds. DJ Johnson knocking him out of bounds. I'll tell you what, the Big 12, those Heisman winners. Ricky Williams, Eric Crouch, Robert Griffin III, Sam Bradford, Jason White. And that's just the Big 12.
That's just Big 12 because you go back to the Big 8. You got Billy Sims winning it, Mike Rozier at Nebraska. And you can go back beyond that. Billy Vessels at Oklahoma ran away with a Heisman Trophy.
Rashawn Salam in Colorado.
Pretty good
When
football.
they were in the conference. That's right. 1st down and 10 at the 41. Play fake. Klein. Oh. That's a heck of a throw. Charles Davis.
It gets better with each throw, doesn't it? Because that one, they did everything they wanted. It made Klein move in the pocket. But Lockett breaks it off to the outside, sticks a foot on the ground to complete the pass for a 1st down for Kansas State. Look at him go up and get it. But what I liked about the play was Colin Klein's movement in the pocket, resets, and delivers the strike with a nice block by Angelo Pease in the backfield to keep him clean.
20-yard gain, 1st and 10. Klein to run.
Optimus! Touchdown, K-State!
This kid can do no wrong, folks.
Watch him again. Patience is the key because he's going to follow Angelo Pease, his running back, up into the hole. But look at the blocks up front. Finney, 66, helps control the line of scrimmage, and Klein lopes in for another touchdown.
4:29 to go in the 3rd quarter. Kansas State.
False start. Number 54, kicking team. 5-yard penalty, retry.
Colin Klein. What a day in the 3rd quarter. Klein has run for 2 touchdowns and passed for a 3rd. But you can't give that young man all the credit. He's got Yoda on the sideline.
It's a full team effort for them. And Klein, they keep saying we're going to make him beat us with his arm. He helps do that. Look at this throw to Lockett. And then after that, he's able to run and do what he does best. Colin Klein does it all. Kansas State is rolling.
Right now, USC is at Arizona leading it. Last time we checked, 21-13.
Oregon, that game got out of hand probably at the coin toss.
Foster from the 3.
Take a look at our BCS top 10 with the games. Alabama later against undefeated Mississippi State. Florida struggling with Georgia right now, losing by 1. Kansas State, you're right here for that. Oregon pounding Colorado 70-14. Notre Dame later at Oklahoma. LSU gets the week off before they host Alabama next week. Oregon State later with Washington surprising Oregon State undefeated. And USC, Arizona, USC leading 21-13 as that game moves on.
1st down and 10 at the 28 for Seth Doege. And Doege to throw. Underneath, caught at the 30-yard line by Foster. the running back. Arthur Brown grabs him quickly.
Seth Dagey, I think, is showing a lot of poise back there today. The snaps at times have been a little tough for him. He and Deverett Gallington, number 66, who played guard most of his career before moving to center this year, he's had a couple where Dagey's had to dig it out and keep his presence before trying to find someone downfield.
2-yard pickup. Here's Dagey over the middle and caught by Torres. Alex Torres takes a lick, but holds on at the 45.
That was Milo putting the hit on him, wasn't it? It's like Trey Walker, the linebacker, was hurt on the play for Kansas State. Nicely thrown ball. Torres grabs it, comes down. Milo puts a shoulder on him to help stop him in his tracks.
Jared Milo, Jr.
And how about Milo's story? He was a walk-on from junior college. His brother, Brian Goolsby, is a former starting fullback here at Kansas State. And he ended up beating out Thomas Ferguson, who was expected to start at strong safety. And Milo has started every game this year. Came into this game with 45 tackles and a pass broken up. But even better, he's already graduated from Kansas State.
Team's second leading tackler with 45. 30 solos coming into this.
You know who he talks to for advice? Remember Tyson Hartman? Remember we had him last year, the safety?
Yes, yes.
Who was a great scholar athlete, one of the top ones in the National Football, as noted by the National Football Foundation, now with the Kansas City Chiefs. He would check in with Tyson about his game on a weekly basis, about the things he's doing, and gets the guidance.
Trey Walker, maybe some knee-to-knee contact. He's walking pretty well, though. Take a look at the end of the play.
So there's Milo with the hit, and then right there, his knee hit Alex Torres' knee, and Torres was lost for the season last year with a torn knee ligament.
First down attempt to 45. Dagey shuffling, flag on the play. And
Ball carrier
Dagey out of
number
bounds,
7.
close to midfield. This may be coming back.
There's a penalty flag.
Referee threw that one, didn't he? That usually means holding.
Greg Burks, your referee.
Holding, number 68 of offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's a right tackle, Terry McDaniel.
That'd be Terry here working against Meshach Williams, 42. The best pass rusher for Kansas State. He gets inside, and you see the hook. The left hand inside, hooking Williams. And it's right, you see where the flag comes. That was right in the sight line of the referee, Greg Burks.
Meshach Williams can get to the quarterback, folks. Last week, he registered 2.5 sacks against Geno Smith, along with 5 tackles. He has 5.5 sacks on the season. Dagey. Drive. Darren Moore.
Pass intended for number 14, Darren Moore.
Now let's go to Los Angeles for a game break.
Gus, is that USC-Oregon matchup next week looking pretty good, Gus and Charles.
Patrick.
All right, Patrick.
I like it.
This ball on 2nd and 20 for Dagey. Ryan Mueller in the vicinity. Eric Stevens, the intended receiver.
Did Patrick O'Neal just go MC Hammer?
Yes, he did.
Patrick, don't hurt him.
The only problem is, Patrick, most of the kids watching this don't even know who MC Hammer is. It tells you how old we are.
He just dated us all.
3rd down and 20 at the 35. Tech needs to go to the 45 for a first down. And incomplete, intended for Eric Ward. Goes right through his hands. Nigel Malone there defensively. He would not have had enough for a first. And Texas Tech has to punt.
I really think that Arthur Brown had an effect on that play, being right in the sight line of the receivers. He came back for the ball and caught a little bit of a hit as the play was concluding.
Wexler. Ertzleben, end over end kick. And caught at the 30-yard line. Well, Foxtoberfest continues tonight. Game 3 of the World Series as the scene shifts to Detroit. Tomorrow starts with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader as the Redskins battle the Steelers and the Giants take on the Cowboys for other regional action. And then it's Game 4 of the World Series. No need to leave your couch all month long. Foxtoberfest is here.
Coming into the game, we were wondering about first down. Can you win on that one? And in the first quarter, Kansas State struggled. But look at that since then. 12 yards of cracking on first down. Bill Snyder's faith, Colin Klein throwing the football, has been rewarded on first down.
K-State has scored on 6 drives in a row. Colin Klein. Good room. Klein dragging defenders when he gets close to the 40-yard line. And the thing about this offense under Coach Snyder, they keep teams off balance. It seems like you just really don't know what to expect.
And that play there just essentially became an I formation play with a lead fullback, with Colin Klein becoming the tailback. They actually had 2 in front of him. And even though it was run out of a shotgun formation, it morphed into an old school power play with Klein as the running back.
Hubert spinning, and this time he's driven down hard by Cody Davis.
We saw it. We finally saw it. Mark it right there. John Hubert tackled. One guy doesn't spin out of it. Cody Davis finally did it.
But a first down for K-State. And I liked when we were at Oklahoma earlier this year for Kansas State. And the Oklahoma coaches talked about how when you face Kansas State, you're facing 3, maybe 4 different offenses at the same time.
You're getting all the formations with the gun. You're getting veer-type plays, power plays, option plays. The passing game, whether it's spread or pro-style stuff, it's a lot to prepare for.
Hubert. And he just squirts through, crossing the 45. A 6-yard gain for John Hubert. Nebo with the tackle.
Well, you tackle him once like that. John Hubert is not used to that at all. Look at the cut. Danced in the hole, froze the defender, and allowed him to get upfield and get what he could out of the play.
And an injured Wildcat on the field from the offensive line. That's number 78, Cornelius Lucas. Talk about a big fella, 6'9", folks, 324 pounds.
The good thing for Kansas State is that they cross-train most of their offensive linemen to play guard and tackle and are able to maneuver people around. You see Bill Snyder out there with his training staff walking off the big guy. And it's good to see him out up and moving under his own power.
And I tell you what, we were with Bruce Weber yesterday. We toured the new $18 million facility. Coach Weber, if you're watching, you may need to sign this kid up. 6'9", you got to get rebounds.
Might even want to run an isolation play or 2 on the low block.
Get the man the ball.
There's Boston Stuyvesant, number 77, who was expected to be a starter when the season began, but was injured and has come back in recent weeks to become a versatile performer along the offensive line.
2nd down and 5 of the 46.
5 green 3 slice arm. 5 green 3 slice arm.
Klein keeps it. Breaks a tackle, and this time will go down. Kerry Hyder, Jackson Richards combining on the tackle. Brings up 3rd down and 8 at the 43.
Good upfield penetration by the defensive front of Texas Tech. Finally putting Kansas State in a 3rd and long situation, something they haven't had much success doing this half.
3rd down and 8 at the 43. They're 3 of 7 on 3rd down conversion. Klein. Inside line, caught by Hubert out of the backfield. Let's see when they spot it. 1st down, K-State. He picks up 10 on 3rd and 8.
Wasn't a long strike, but it was a well-thrown football. Why? He kept his running back on his feet, able to catch it upfield and turn and pick up the first down. He didn't stop him by bringing him back to the ball, throw it inside, making him turn. A well-thrown football by Colin Klein.
And that takes us to the end of the third quarter. Kansas State scoring 21 points in the period, and the Wildcats lead it 34-17, and they have the ball and are driving. Back to Manhattan right after this. Start of the fourth quarter, 34-17.
And the story of this game has been the third quarter, because look at that, 21-7 Kansas State, perking on all cylinders as we start the fourth.
First down and 10 of the 46. Klein out of the shotgun, looking for Harper on the double move. And Harper broken up at the last moment by Cody Davis.
It's good coverage by Davis, but it's a ball that if you're going to give your receiver a chance, you've got to put it up there. That ball's a little short, allowed Cody Davis to get involved in the play. Nice coverage by the safety from Texas Tech, but to give your receiver his best chance, put it up in the air and let him make the adjustment coming back for it.
A heads-up play for Cody Davis.
Literally.
Second down and 10 of the 46. Klein underneath, Lockett turns it up. Lockett still running, he goes down at the 25. McLaughlin with the stop after a 21-yard pickup.
Now, Tyler Lockett was an All-American as a freshman, as a kick returner. Now we're seeing the evolution of him as a football player. Last week against West Virginia, 9 catches, 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. Today, we're seeing him continue to improve as a route runner, a good hands catcher, and now a true threat at wide receiver.
Here's the handoff, Hubert. Wow, great stiff. And he lost it, but he may have been there to pick up his own fumble. And he is. Cody Davis there defensively.
See Hubert advancing the ball. There's Cody Davis. Misses the first time and then able to punch the ball out. Let's see, is this Davis able to do this on the backside or was it the front? No, the punch actually came from number 9, Brandon Jackson, who knocked it free coming from inside out at his defensive end position, and Hubert was fortunate to get back on it.
Injured Red Raider on the field now. Jackson steps off, looks like Eugene Nebo.
Another corner they can ill afford to lose. Cornelius Douglas, normally a starter, has missed the last couple of weeks with a knee injury. He's not here today to play.
In the meantime, let's go back to Los Angeles for a game break.
All right, Gus, it's in this game.
No doubt about it, Pat. And a great article in the USA Today yesterday on Coach Muschamp and all the places that he's been and how he has this team and how he's molding it in his image as opposed to the Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer, pass-happy offense.
A defensive coordinator likes a physical football team that can run it. And Coach Boom, as he's affectionately known, is getting that from his team. But too many mistakes so far have them on the negative side of the scoreboard against arch rival Georgia today.
And I'm sure Kansas State fans are paying very close attention to that game. Here's Klein.
Get it, baby!
Leads his receiver, Tremaine Thompson. Makes the catch. In front of DJ Johnson, Colin Klein. He's starting to spin it now, folks.
The form, we talk about it all the time. Not exactly training tape material. The end result, I'm telling you, you ought to frame it and hang it in the Louvre somewhere. Because these balls that he's throwing today are in the right spot for his receivers and away from the defenders. Very few passes I've seen him make today that haven't been extremely accurate.
Hands it off to John Hubert, straight ahead, and he'll lean forward for the first down. Colin Klein, 18 of 24, 226 yards. He's thrown a touchdown. And in the past, his pitch was a lot more pronounced than it is now.
Looks like he's done a great job of working through that. And I know that he had an appointment with a noted quarterback guru this summer where it was set up to go. And the last thing he said was, I've got to check with Coach Snyder. And Coach Snyder said, nah, you don't need that. We'll take care of that. He canceled that. Obviously, what'd you call him, Yoda? The Yoda knew because Colin Klein is throwing the football quite well.
Here's Hubert, look at the end zone. Touchdown, K-State. John Hubert rushing for his second touchdown of the day. And Kansas State takes a 40-17 lead.
Cody Davis trying another good stiff arm, a straight arm by Hubert, dives and puts the football on the pylon. That should be a touchdown. I know they'll be taking a good look at it upstairs, but he hit the pylon with the football. I think that's a touchdown for Hubert.
So Cantelli comes in to attempt the extra point. And it's good. 12:48 to go in the fourth quarter. K-State with a 41-17 lead. John Hubert, elusive, powerful, athletic. K-State up big. Kansas State, 2 punts, followed by 7 consecutive scores, 5 touchdowns, and 2 field goals. The most recent, John Hubert with a 15-yard run on an 11-play, 70-yard drive.
They put so much pressure on you. You almost feel like if you don't score on a drive, it's a real failure for you because you feel like Kansas State's going to score on you.
Time now for our Reese's Perfect Play. The Waco Wonder, John Hubert.
Take a good look at what he gets out in front. Nick Pitts, 50. B.J. Finney, the center, 66. Travis Tannehill, number 80, at the point of attack with his block. Allows Hubert to power his way into the end zone with a good straight arm against Cody Davis, the fine safety for Texas Tech. Hey, remember they were saying Hubert was in a little bit of a slump coming to this game? He's only averaging, what, 3.4 yards a carry the last 2 games. And what happened to John Hubert? Guess we could let that go for a while.
14 carries, 64 yards, and 2 scores. Daggy handing it off to Kenny Williams. It's a good way to break out of your slump right here.
And look at what you're going to get. Let's take a look at these guys and what they do. Here it comes. Tannehill, point of attack, number 80. There's Pitts, 50. Finney, 66. So now you have it to where he ends up out here. And look at him fight off Davis and get to the end zone. You can always get by with a little help from your friends.
2nd down and 6 at the 29. Daggy to the sideline. And he has his receiver, Tyson Williams. Gets out of bounds.
One thing I want people to take note of, with the score being 41-17, this is a good football team that they're up 41-17 on. This Texas Tech team was the first to get to West Virginia 49-14 before Kansas State did it last week when West Virginia was riding high, number 5 in the country.
Daggy. Tip. Picked up. Arthur Brown Jr. Touchdown, K-State. In the first half, Charles, we said we hadn't mentioned his name. I think he heard us.
With the extra point attempt for Kansas State, number 10, Anthony Cantelli.
Tell you what, CD, all things considered. I'd buy a ticket to watch these guys play Alabama.
Gus, if it hasn't officially been stated, let's go ahead and state it ourselves. Let the word go out. If you want a piece of Kansas State, you better be prepared to deal with a full team.
Bring a lunch. It'll be an all-day thing. 48-17. K-State, the judge presiding. Arthur Brown Jr. with the interception, return for a touchdown.
And look at that with Kansas State since 1999. The non-offensive touchdowns. Tip ball by the receiver.
And an elated K-State bench. Different story on the Texas Tech sideline.
See the offense coordinator, Neil Brown, looking at it, trying to wonder what they can do to try and move the football against Kansas State.
Foster brings it out of the end zone. And gets up to about the 24. Now this week, the Fox College Football social poll on Facebook asked fans which one-loss team has the best chance at contending for the BCS title. Here are the results of the poll. 44% of you saying LSU.
And they have the week off. And guess what? Next week, you know who they host? Those big red elephants from Alabama. But Alabama's got to get through Mississippi State tonight, who is undefeated on the season and is thinking big, trying to get to 8-0. Oklahoma, they're hosting Notre Dame tonight. And USC's making a pretty good case. Can anyone cover Marquise Lee? Not today.
Who do you like in Oklahoma, Notre Dame?
I like Oklahoma narrowly because I think that Oklahoma's defense is playing at that normal Oklahoma level now. And Notre Dame's offense has been struggling this year.
Kenny Williams trying to bring it back. And he'll lose yardage on the play. Jonathan Truman sticks it. A loss of 2.
We always talk about adjustments and hybrid players. How about let's take a look at Justin Tuggle on this play, number 2. He's going to line up a defensive end likely for Kansas State, a former quarterback who's found a home on the defensive side of the football as a pass rusher in nickel situations.
Second down, and they call it 13 at the 19. Williams. And Williams, again, Truman, knifing through to make the play.
How about the gang tackling we're seeing from Kansas State now? They have a rule in their defensive meeting rooms. They want to get 10 hats, 10 purple shirts in the frame at the end of each play. That means they're all running to the football. If they have less than 10, that's a minus point for the defense, rallying to the football. Watch how aggressively they pursue it, and everyone tries to get in on the tackle.
Third down and 12 at the 20. Daggy drops it off. Williams trying to pick up yards after the catch. Gets across the 25, out of bounds at about the 27. Randall Evans, who's been terrific this afternoon with the tackle. And Texas Tech will have to punt it away.
Once again, they shut down the high-powered Texas Tech offense. I mean, early in the game, Tech was moving the football, having some success. And boy, oh boy, another adjustment. Tom Hayes is the new defensive coordinator for Kansas State. Probably not getting nearly the credit he deserves for how well this defense has played this season.
Erxleben, 17. This one off the side of his foot. Wow. It's gone from bad to worse for the Red Raiders.
Tough one for Ryan Erxleben. I'm old enough to remember his father as a punter and kicker at the University of Texas and an All-American and later a first-round draft choice of the New Orleans Saints because he was such a weapon. Not normal for Ryan Erxleben.
Kansas State will have the football at the 35-yard line.
Everything looks fine, just doesn't catch all the football.
9:45 to play. Klein in the shotgun. Pease behind him, and they run it. Pease breaking tackles. And he gets inside the 30. Cody Davis again with the tackle.
Think about this team as we look at the score, clock ticking down, under 9:30 to go. One more score here, they're in the 50s again. Will that be the 5th time this year? 50 points for the season?
They had
in the game?
Kansas State, 51 against Missouri State, 52 against Miami, 56 against Kansas. He's stutter step, flag on the play. 55 against West Virginia. So you are correct, sir.
So this would be 5 if they get there. And they have not given up more than 21 in a game all year.
Personal foul, hands to the face, number 91, defense. Penalty being forced half the distance to the goal line, first down.
North Texas scored 21 points against Kansas State, 35-21 the final. They yielded only 19 at Oklahoma, 16 against Kansas, 21 as well against Iowa State, and 14 last week against West Virginia.
And coming into today's play, only Kansas State, Notre Dame, Florida, and Alabama have given up 21 points or less in each game this year.
Klein throws the fade in the corner. Incomplete. Intended for Tyler Lockett. He wanted a flag and won't get it. Covered by Jarvis Phillips. Gus Johnson, Charles Davis, Julie Alexandria. From Manhattan, Kansas, where the juggernaut continues to dominate. Led by this man, Colin Klein. Kansas State, earlier in this game, down 7-0. And Klein calls a timeout.
Timeout. K-State, their first of the half. Media timeout.
8:27 to go in the fourth quarter. What a day for Colin Klein.
He does it all.
And he get into the end zone yet again. We'll find out right after this. Against Anibal Sanchez and the Tigers team looking to get themselves back into the series. Legends are born in October. Our coverage of Game 3 of the World Series begins tonight following football on Fox.
You can't pitch Jack Morris tonight? You can use him.
We could. 2nd and 10. At the 10, Pease. And how about Colin Klein? The last 2 weeks, he's 37 of 45. 549 yards, 4 touchdown passes, and 6 rushing touchdowns.
It's almost not fair. I mean, we keep talking about Heisman front runner. He has really become that guy and has expanded his game along the way. Before, I think people were saying it because of sheer force of team winning, his rushing numbers. Now he's expanded to add the passing element. He hits you in every direction.
He's eliminating contenders as well. Last week, Geno Smith. This week, if they hold on, Daggy, Pease, touchdown. This one coming right at you.
And that's a touchdown pass. The shuffle pass, shovel pass, whatever you want to call it, behind the line of scrimmage. As first made famous at the University of Utah with Lee Gross Cup, led by his head coach, Cactus Jack Curtis.
Back-to-back 50-point games for Kansas State. They beat two pretty good football teams in West Virginia. And it looks like that's going to happen today to Tommy Tuberville's Texas Tech Red Raiders. So the BCS contenders and what they have left, numbers 3, 4, and 5. Let's take a look. Kansas State with Oklahoma State, TCU and Texas.
Texas escaped today against Kansas, didn't they?
Yes,
Oregon.
they did.
Oregon, everybody's been talking about their lack of schedule so far. Things are going to toughen up now for Oregon because one team that's not on there that should be there, Stanford.
That's right.
All right, so they got to deal with them. In addition to those games you see in Notre Dame, that truly is it. At Oklahoma, USC, the other teams they have to face have not provided much competition all year. And William Wildcat working it out. Everybody gets on Willie about whether he's doing a full push-up or not.
I don't think he's doing a full push-up.
But I think it's not. I think we got to take into account the size of Willie's head.
Well,
I think the head hits, and that's as far down as he can go.
Well, Willie, he can lean his head over that there.
That's a lot
really
of
get down.
That's a lot of. It's a lot of cabeza there.
Here's Foster. And Foster gets to the 20. I think Anthony Catelli has done a nice job of driving the ball to the goal line instead of kicking it in the end zone for a touchback, because the Kansas State special teams have done extremely well on coverage after giving up a touchdown last week against West Virginia.
And you know they wanted a chance to redeem themselves, because really that was truly the most, probably the only disappointment of last week's game at West Virginia was giving up the kickoff return to Tavon Austin, 100 yards for a touchdown. So I'm sure the kickoff unit not unhappy when there's not a touchback, to give themselves a chance to put on tape that they've improved in a week.
Daggy firing, and he has Eric Ward, who is knocked out of bounds, and late hit. That's a flag. Carl Miles Jr. defensively for Kansas State.
See Miles, 19, coming in, making the tackle, getting to the sideline. And then behind him, they'd gotten to the white, gets the extra
Personal
push.
foul, number 22, defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
And that's Dante Barnett.
Not many penalties for Kansas State. That's one that Dante Barnett will hear about later. Kansas State came into it tied for the least amount of penalties coming into today at 24 with Central Michigan.
Nagy throwing on the run to Darren Moore. Busy day in college football. Let's go back to Los Angeles for game break.
Thank you, Gus. USC Arizona Trojans in a bit of an uh-oh situation. Matt Scott leading the Cats back, hits Dan Buckner 9 yards for the touchdown. They go for two, they do not get it. But a whole fourth quarter left to be played, 28-26 on a record-setting day by Marquise Lee. Gus, Charles.
All right, Kenny Williams running the football.
You look at that, you have to reflect back to the previous 4 or 5 years of play with USC and Arizona. I don't think the margin of victory has been more than 7. I think USC's won the vast majority. I think there's one win in that grouping from Arizona. But everything's been close and has been tight. And Arizona continues to get better. And now they're going to press USC in the fourth quarter at home.
First down and 10 at the 38-yard line. Daggy finds Uzala. Uzala picks up the first down, flag on the play. Seth Daggy is the first quarterback to throw for more than 300 yards versus Kansas State in the last 12 games. Daggy 31 of 46, 301, a touchdown and an interception.
After the play, personal foul, number 3 of the offense. Play results in a first down, then we'll have a 15-yard penalty. First down, Texas Tech.
Two hard-hitting teams. Listen up.
Easy now. Good job.
Solid giving and taking.
And did you hear the official on the sideline? Easy now, good job. The preventive officiating, keeping guys from doing anything a little extra that was not necessary.
This crew by Brett Burks. Very solid today. Kenny Williams again.
I think that's what the best crews do, Gus, is that they do the preventive stuff. Let you know along the way what they're about, what they're going to let you do, not do. Try and talk you out of doing things before you actually do them in order to keep the game moving along.
Second down and 3 at the 31. And this time it's Darren Moore. Got to give Tommy Tuberville a lot of credit. Like what his team has done this year. Texas Tech 3-0 on the road coming into this game this season, winning 10 road games since the High Plains commander arrived in Lubbock in 2010, making adjustments, changing defensive coordinators. They have played better on defense. They're just taking on one of the best, if not the best team in the nation on their home turf today. Williams.
And this will be the testing game where we're going to go back and look for Texas Tech. Because last year, remember, they rolled into Oklahoma and beat the number 3 ranked Sooners and went to 5-2 on the year. And do you remember what happened from then on? They didn't win a game the rest of the year. They lost their last 5, went 5-7. So now, here at Kansas State, tough day. They get to go home, take on the Texas Longhorns, go to Oklahoma State, and go to Baylor to finish things up. Let's see if they can have a better finish this year than they did last.
They also have a home game after Texas against Kansas. Kansas giving Texas a run for their money today, rushing the football well in the first half.
I think this team is much better equipped to handle something like this than maybe last year's was. But this will definitely be the testing ground. 5-2 last year after beating Oklahoma. They'll be 6-2 if this game continues, which we expect it to this half. How will they finish up?
Darren Moore with the reception gets out of bounds. Meanwhile, for Kansas State, Oklahoma State at home next week, then at TCU, at Baylor, a bye week, and their final game of the season at home against Texas. The big question is, can this team run the table? Handing it off to Grant. Tries to get outside and turn the corner. About 6 inches past the line of scrimmage. K-State with a lot of speed on defense, a little underrated.
And know something else? They have a lot of guys on the field right now that are not on your depth chart and are not on my depth chart.
That's right.
Okay, that's how deep they've gone now. I'm going to the roster to see some of these numbers and names, and they're still playing with the same efficiency as the starters. We keep talking about this being a group of overachievers. I said it was a myth last week. I stand by it. This is a group of terrific athletes. Give them credit.
Danny rolls out, throws. Hard and goes down. Once again, Dante Barnett's name mentioned.
Not on our depth chart. But look at the play. Ontiveros catches the pass. There's Kip Daly, number 7. Dante Barnett coming into the picture. Again, the swarming, gang tackling, lots of purple jerseys in that picture.
Now, we asked Bill Snyder yesterday. Actually, we'll hold that story right now and go to break. 2:54 to play in the fourth. 55-17 K-State. Back after this. Welcome back to Manhattan, Kansas, affectionately known as the Little Apple. 55-17 K-State. Colin Klein's had another big day for Kansas State. about Seth Dagey trying to get his team into the end zone again. 4th down and 1. Dagey under pressure and gone. Touchdown. And that's Eric Ward with the catch. 4-yard score to make it 55-23.
Well-designed route. Ward from the inside out, breaking it off to the corner. They held the corner at the top by a receiver not running a deep route. Brought him up and opened up the back part of the end zone. Ward finds it. Dagey finds Ward. Touchdown, Texas Tech.
23 points, the most points scored against Kansas State this year. Backups in the game now for the Wildcats, though. Extra point good.
That just gives Bill Snyder something else to tell his team they're going to work on and get a little bit better every day.
(55-24) the score, and that young man, Eric Ward, has had a spectacular day. 10 catches, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but you wouldn't know it by looking at his face. Winning, always the most important thing for competitors.
They've got to look forward now and not repeat what happened last season. And I don't think it will with this Texas Tech team. This is a different ball club. Different attitude about them, different way about going about work. And I keep coming back to this. I know the score disparity is huge, but they're facing, as you put it, one of the best, if not the best team in the nation in Kansas State. Say it, hear it, believe it.
Ball fair caught at the 28. World Series coming up later on tonight here on Fox. Let's go.
One of the Tigers' bats going to wake up.
Oh, my goodness. Same question I got from my mom on the west side of Detroit. When are we going to start hitting?
You might have to ask Pedro Serrano for a little formula.
That's right. Jobu says. Here's a handoff from quarterback in. Daniel Sams, who got some burn last week at West Virginia. Young man, redshirt freshman from Slidell, Louisiana. And we were talking about Bill Snyder and what he said to us yesterday in his office. We asked him, how do you always manage to take players that aren't 5-star recruits and turn them into such terrific college players? And he's got a long laundry list of guys that have gone off from here to get to the pros.
And he says you start with good people first. That's your first thing, you know, first and foremost. I believe a lot of these guys may have been mislabeled in a lot of ways, that maybe they're better football players than they were. You know, get that 5-star, 4-star, but getting beyond that, they take these kids, and he has 16 building blocks for success that he talks about all the time with his players, including commitment, unselfishness, unity, being tough, self-discipline, eliminating mistakes. And Colin Klein's favorite is no self-limitations. He doesn't ever put limitations on this team. Get better each and every day, a little bit each day, and build your way, ramp your way up to where they are right now, another undefeated season.
Colin Klein, his day is done. 19 of 26, 233 yards, passing and 2 touchdowns.
Timeout. Kansas State.
Klein rushing 12 times for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Just like the way it all comes together for this team. Offensive line, unsung heroes. Guys can move up and down the line, and guys can play guard, can play tackle. You know, they're versatile. They play both sides of the line, you know, off right side, left side, and then you see what Klein's done today. How about this touchdown pass to Tremaine Thompson? And then, of course, the way he normally does it, with his legs, breaking through the Texas Tech defense. And how about this one? A shovel pass that goes down as a touchdown pass to Angelo Pease, who's really given them good play the last 2 weeks as the backup tailback to John Hubert.
Here's Sams. That's the option. Keeps it. And goes down hard. 56 seconds to go. This one close early. At one time it was 7-0, then 7-3, 13-10 at halftime. We talked about Coach Snyder and his ability to make adjustments and score points after the break, and that's exactly how this has played out. 21-point score by Kansas State in the third quarter. And they blew it open in the fourth, 55-24. Our score.
And Tom Hayes, the defensive coordinator, first year as the coordinator at Kansas State, making similar adjustments and shutting Texas Tech down in the second half.
And a flag running into the kicker. Dorr, who didn't have to work very much today, but I tell you what.
Personal foul, roughing the punter, number 20, Texas Tech. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Ryan Dorr is a major weapon, Charles Davis.
Half of his punts coming into today had been down inside the 20-yard line. At Oklahoma, he had 2 inside the 10. They helped them with field position. But he's liable to get rusty the way this offense is going. The last 2 weeks, he hadn't had to get much work at all. 1 punt at West Virginia, 2 today. So he better make sure he stays lathered up in practice, because otherwise he'll get no play here.
And for Kansas State, once again, no turnovers. The 4th game this season that they've gone without turning the football over. And they'll run it on the final play. First down for Sams. And that should do it. Kansas State Wildcats remain undefeated, 8-0, 5-0 in the Big 12 as they defeat Texas Tech on their home field, 55-24. For Charles Davis, Julie Alexandria, and our entire crew, I'm Gus Johnson saying so long from Manhattan. Let's take you now to Aaron Andrews.